So I figured we have Valentine's Day coming up this week. So why not talk about love? Why not talk about love? When we talk about love, we need look no further than the section on Unity's teachings on its own website to ground us in the type of love we're talking about today. It says the following, and I quote, "Whether you like to say God, the universe, spirit, divine truth, love, or some other phrase, we believe that this divine energy is all the same, a benevolent expression of goodness, order, abundance, and love in the world." So from this, we understand love is synonymous with God. At the very least, it is one of the generally accepted primary qualities of God. Some who come to these or other spiritual centers believe in love and never, ever utter the word God. And as to why I adore Unity so much, as per Unity's teachings, that's all just fine with us. In the Bible, 1 John chapter 4, verse 16, it says, "So we have come to know and to believe that love that God has for us." God is love. And whoever abides in love abides in God, and God abides in him. Could you for one moment imagine a world held together by a great power and presence that is in us, around us, and through us, that we call upon to guide us, comfort us, and restore us, that does not have the quality of love? Or how some of us may see it, not all loving, or others still love itself. And if God is love, and we are made in God's image, then we too are love. So then, why is it sometimes we don't act from a loving place? Does anybody ever not act from a loving place? Or am I in it alone? Oh, thank you. That is simply us missing the mark, having an ultra-human or sense-bound moment. But that doesn't change the fact that we are of love because we are of God. In a past daily word from this past Advent, it said something so wonderful that I wanted to share it with you. It says, "Love is one of the highest intentions I can hold, and one of the most sacred actions I can take. Love is the name and nature of God." How powerful is love? Do you think of love as power? Well, if love is God, and God is all powerful, then love, is all powerful. Some believe it's the most powerful way in which God and God consciousness shows up in us, through us, and around us. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, believed that love heals. He said as much in his book, The Mysteries of John, chapter 12, and I quote, "Love is the greatest thing in the world. According to Henry Drummond, who analyzed it in a masterly manner, Jesus acknowledged the power of love when he said, 'Suffer her to keep it against the day of my burying.' When personality is hurt to the death and surrenders all, love pours her balm over every wound, and the substance of her sympathy infuses hope and faith into the discouraged soul." A noted mental healer relates that her husband was dying of consumption. She had treated him in every way known to her science without results, when one day in her agony she exclaimed, "I will give my whole life to save you." Immediately, she says, Immediately, a great flood of substance seemed to roll forth from her heart towards her husband, and from that day he began to improve, and he finally got well. This was the precious ointment of love poured out from him when he was buried in the consciousness of death, and it resurrected him. Divine love hath a balm for every ill. Divine love hath a balm for every ill. End quote. In fact, Henry Drummond, who was a Scottish spiritual leader who inspired Charles Fillmore, along with a host of other people, was such an important figure for the topic of the power of love. He later issued a talk as a thin book called The Greatest Thing in the World, and in it he said, "You will find, as you look back upon your life, that the moments that stand out, the moments when you have really lived, are the moments when you have done things in a spirit of love." So, on this Sunday, let us count the ways love shows up in our lives, in the hopes that in doing so, we allow it to circulate more freely and abundantly in our life. Because, folks, there are few things more powerful than love. Perhaps not all of us or our loved ones in this lifetime will experience a physical healing through love alone, but still, love is the glue that holds lives together, and it's easy to overlook the small, slow, and steady ways that love consistently shows up every day. Examples include, but are not limited to, the love expressed when somebody wishes us a good day, or gives us a small, quick smile, or holds the door open for us. Didn't we feel that today? Didn't you feel that when it comes in? I could drive 5 hours to get here. I'm coming for that. I love that. I don't get that meditating by myself, which also is extremely important to me. I come for that. I come for that companionship and love and fellowship that radiates to each one of you. Or how about somebody who waits to hold the elevator doors open for us instead of pressing the close button, close, close, close. These are all acts of love. Or the very way in which we ask somebody, "How can I help you today?" Or we send a greeting card for a special occasion. My friend Pat is great at that. She is great at that for the whole time we have been friends. For a special occasion or no occasion at all, she does that too. Just because. Just because. Or we say yes to service at our spiritual center, UCM, so we can make another's experience better. They don't get paid for this, guys, these volunteers. They do this each and every week. Each and every week, these people show up with a spirit of love. Or doing something nice for ourselves, even when we don't feel like it. How many people are in the practice of doing the next right thing, even if you don't feel like it, because you know it's the next right thing? Anybody practice that? Good. Bringing home flowers for the table, making a beautiful sit-down dinner for one. How about making a warm cup of tea for ourselves? I have to tell you, I start my day, when I start my spiritual practice, with a warm cup of turmeric tea. It has benefits both medicinal and spiritual. I cannot tell you what that does for me on both counts. But now maybe a harder one. I want to tell you a story. I was online this past November 8th, 2022, waiting to vote. I got there before it opened, and there were only a few of us online. A man in front of me was speaking to another man. They made clear what their thoughts are. I could see their faces filled with anger and frustration as they expressed their sentiments. Their words were not kind and loving towards all people, or any people, really, except themselves. They express thoughts that I find hard to take and certainly don't agree with. I started to have feelings of anger swell up in me. I started to form an opinion about these men. Then, as the line started to move, unconsciously and without much thought at all, I put my hand on the shoulder of one of these men who was wearing a hat that let me know he served in our armed forces. And I said, "Thank you for your service." His face instantly grew soft, kind, and receptive, as if his tough exterior started to melt under one kind, loving gesture towards him. And then we both exchanged some niceties. We touched each other's souls for a brief moment. I'll never see that man again, more than likely, and he'll never see me. And I don't know what that small act of kindness did for him, if anything at all, but I know what it did for me. It reinforced in me that we are all children of God. We are all programmed at our core to give and receive love. We all rather connect and be kind to each other than hold resentments and be separated from one another, regardless of outer appearances to the contrary. Now I have a question for you, my fine, small, but mighty and highly evolved group of souls. You knew there was a catch?
We'll claim it.
Claim it, you deserve it, you wear it well. Does love always show up as a yes? No. If answering yes hurts someone or blocks or interferes with somebody's spiritual growth or evolution, love says no, whether we like it or not. And thank God for that. How many times have we looked back on life saying, "Ooh, thank goodness that prayer wasn't answered"? Yep. And are we aware? Each time we express these things, we are growing closer to and expressing more of who we truly are, divine beings. All these kind acts, all these loving acts, they matter. Big or small, they all matter. Whether we know it or not, we are growing in and learning how to express more God consciousness and making life a better place for all. Isn't that our vision? Isn't that our mission? So today, I set forth a challenge for us all if you choose to accept it. What things, from the very small to perhaps larger, will you do to infuse more life, more love in life today? For those you know, for those you don't, for those you love, and for those maybe not so much, for yourself, for your pets, anyone, anybody, through thought, action, prayer, the spoken word, and those hold silently. We know those thoughts held silently have a vibration of their own, right? We are vibrating that. You ever notice how you come in a room and you were thinking like, well, I don't want to see that person, and all of a sudden you come in and you're greeted with the kind of person looking at you haven't said a word. Somehow that person picks up on that non-loving thought. Each day, we have a wonderful role to play in this life drama, a golden opportunity, and only we can choose the actions we take. And we know we can't give anything without also giving it to ourselves. If we believe we're all one in God, we know that that is the truth. We experience whatever we put out in the universe. So my dear, wonderful, can't live without you, spiritual family, let us express love today. What do you say?
Yes.
Amen. God bless you all.